Good afternoon, and good morning, I should say, and welcome to the Smite Minor League North America. The conclusion of the Minor League is going to be today. Yesterday, we got to have a look at Europe, and we actually saw Insignum manage to make themselves through to the placement stage. I can't speak words this morning.
It's understandable. I mean, but you don't have to say a whole lot because the gameplay is going to be speaking for itself from these players. And keep in mind that the end goal, pretty much for everybody, is just to try and make it out of this round robin stage so they can have their contention at that placement rounds.
And talking about the placement rounds, they're all trying to get them way to DreamHack. You guys should be getting your tickets right about now if you've not got them already. November 16th to the 18th at hi-rezexpo.com. Come watch us with the Smite World Championships as well as the Console World Championships or Console Wars as well for Paladins too. And maybe some extra surprises, you know, hi-rez always like to throw your direction. Not only that, though, Taco, there's an after party to go to too.
Yeah, if you're going for the November 16th through 18th event for the main games, I completely understand, but you're going to want to make sure you stick around for this after party. A lot of good times tend to happen here. Great chance to just get to kind of unleash with everybody else.
Yeah, pretty much. Everybody just gets to relax and chill out, and you can talk to people behind the scenes. But that's enough about HRX. It's all about getting themselves to the placement stage, first of all. Now, in North America, we're down to just 3 teams. The year has finished. The 4 split ended for the minor league, but the top 3 teams now face off in a best-of-3 round robin. These are the teams we're going to get to see today. Taco, when you look at North America, who you feeling here?
I think a lot of people are probably going to be leaning mostly towards Very Nice to Me, but it's hard to count out Sanguine or Armada. Both of them, respectively, have really started to step up their gameplay, in my eyes at least, and I'm sure the general public as well. I think that Armada probably posed the biggest threat to Very Nice to Me as far as finding themselves with the overall win-loss that's going to take them to the placement stages. But I just still feel like Sanguine has the possibility here to be a little bit of a dark horse factor.
They could cause some problems for the 2 teams indeed, and that's the one thing we're going to get to see today. Whoever comes out on top, if they continue to trade out games overall and say, for example, one team beats another, we're just going to keep on going and keep on going. Start things off, though, with Armada versus Sanguine. Now, you mentioned as well about the Sanguine team that these could be the ones that are the dark horse of the roster. What is it about Sanguine that you really like?
I think that there's just a fair spread of player experience all throughout it. You've got Yuji and Sheyka, and I think one big thing about these two especially is that they are people who have been on the cusp of pro-level play, and for whatever reason, it just happened to fall short. I think that also their Hunter, Diesel, I mean, we're not showing these replays for fun. He's actually been all over the place in the latter half of this fall split for the minor league. And I definitely think that his versatility combined alongside of the experience from his mid and jungle can definitely help give them an edge over the competition.
Well, that's Sanguine, first of all, and now they're going to be taking on Armada. Now, Armada themselves, when you actually look at how they've been playing, you look at the squad and you see some names on this list for this team of Sops, Cope, Bra. I've seen these names a while. Cope and some of the others have been in the Pro League before, so you know they've got the talent pool there.
And that's another reason why it's hard to count out any of these teams as far as coming home with that #1 spot from the round robin. But I definitely think that as far as junglers are concerned, a lot of people have been talking about Copebby as possibly the best jungler in the SML right now. And I'm having a hard time finding any disagreements with that because Cope, for what it's worth, has definitely stepped it up since the last time we saw him in that pro level debut. I believe back with Team Allegiance is the last time we really saw him in competitive play. Other than that, he's mostly just hung around this sort of amateur scene. But I think that Armada and Sanguine is a very evenly sorted matchup between the two, and this is bound to be a lot of aggression between the jungles and the mid laners.
Now, after this match as well, Sanguine will have to face straight away Very Nice to Me. So they're the ones with a double header in this scenario here, so they want to get off to a very good start against Armada and not have to worry about what results happen elsewhere later on in the day. Let's get into picks and bans, though, for Game 1. This is a best-of-3 encounter between the two, and we'll see how Armada and Sanguine choose to draft this at the moment. Sanguine will be the first pick, first ban.
Interesting too that Sanguine are going to be. Well, I guess it all depends for the first game.
Yeah.
Who it's kind of a little bit more decisive.
Well, it's a coin toss generally for what happens on who gets first pick or gets option, and then from there, after you lose, you get to choose whether you want to be first or second.
I'm mostly just bringing it up because there's been a little bit of a tendency lately for the teams to want second pick right now. A lot of teams have been heavily prioritizing that second pick selection because they feel as though getting the 2 gods in comparison to the 1, even if you sacrifice a priority pick like Baron, Chernobog, Freya, you're still going to be able to respond with your next dude that could possibly deter the enemy team from wanting to further build into that original composition.
Well, Sanguine going to take away Pele and Circuit as well, focusing towards the Assassins. Armada, though, going for those semi to full globals with Chernobog and Athena locked in. Well, banned away, I should say. And now Sanguine will select Freya as the first pick. Is it always still wise to go Freya first pick? Is she still that dominant?
I definitely think that Freya is flexible enough between Hunter and mid lane right now that she can afford to be a first pick selection still. It is surprising, though, to not see any prevalence given towards the Mercury. I think with the way that Mercury has been resurfacing for the Pro League, I'd almost anticipate it to be the exact same case here in the minor league, but seems as though Achilles and Baron Samedi are going to be the options instead. And I do like the response because there's control and there's early game pressure, which I think is exactly the direction you need to be taking things if you want to try and suppress a Freya early on.
Yeah, interesting enough to see. Like you said, no Mercury so far, and we get into the counterbalance section now. Freya on Batz, Kumbhakarna for Sanguine. Armada with the Baron, Achilles, and Sol. Now, Baron and Achilles, technically, bit of a multi-role specialist, both of those. We can see the Baron in the support role in the solo lane. We've seen it a little bit in mid now too. Whereas Achilles, well, we've seen a little bit jungle, but mainly solo.
I'm expecting this Sol to be in the mid lane for Armada. I think Sops, having formerly been a Hunter player, Sol is one of those mages where she still kind of feels like a Hunter at times, and I think it allows Sops to just be a little bit more comfortable in that mid lane, and going up against somebody like Sheyka, who you know is going to have probably a little bit more of a variety in terms of god pick selection for the mage role, since that is Sheyka's hard main role the entire time he's played Smite.
You do seem right, because the Rama's now been locked in too. Sanguine going to go with Neith here, so it's going to be double Hunter situation almost, but with the 2 mages, you've also got the basically the attack speed from both of these from the mage situation too, so that should be a good one for them. Ganesha to go with them. So this front line taco, they've got Ganesha and Kumbhakarna and Batz. I actually do like Sanguine's composition.
Sanguine, I think they saw the Baron and the Achilles and they immediately knew they were just going to go purely for crowd control. You've got Fear No Evil, Epic Uppercut, and the Mesmerize. Plenty of setup, I think. And the Neith also, combined alongside of the Ganesh, is going to be enough pressure in that side duo lane that I think Sanguine or Yuji won't have to suffer as much in case Armada do start to look for those early invades. They'll be able to rely on the Neith Ganesh rotations because they should be able to outclear after the initial start.
On paper, I mean, if you don't take into account the players that are involved in this game, it looks pretty even in terms of picks and bans from my angle. What about yourself?
I think it's very evenly tied, but I would have to give a slight edge to Armada, just favoring the Sol Rom Baron core a little bit more.
Okay, well, let's find out exactly how Game 1 breaks down. The casters are standing by to bring us Game 1.
Thanks, Hindu. Thanks, Taco. Finch and Anatoly here. Sanguine up against Armada, the first game of the NA SML. You know, I'm already glad that we're seeing Baron getting some value over here in NA, because I believe in EU we didn't see it really played at all. So nice to see him here.
Sometimes it was even banned in the secondary phase. A lot of these teams not wanting to go that option, so we'll see Sibyl pilot it alongside sBennyQ's Rama. A lot of lane pressure, and that's why Diesel and Mineral want no part of that early game scuffle, instead proxying between the Tier 1, Tier 2, and going to be able to invade the red.
Yeah, they'll be able to grab this one for themselves, not any problem, but Armada will respond by going to the invade on the opposite side of the map, so it looks like they might just trade some right busts out, as looks like Sheyka is going to stick around in the middle lane, not going to be able to come over to this, but could be a bit of trouble. Diesel and Mineral are on their way to try and contest him. Sibyl might already be on the way out, but Diesel finding some nice shots. Sprint there as well. The slow trying to come through from sBennyQ, but Sibyl could certainly be in trouble here, as he's in dangerous position to fall, has the shell to keep him alive. Now Sheyka rotates in, and Sibyl falls to Diesel for first blood.
And sBennyQ is going to fall as well. Diesel with a nice double kill, not even a minute into the game. What a turnaround. I thought for sure Sanguine had enough momentum to invade the purple buff and then get lane pressure to hit level 2 first, but no, they took it a step further, recognizing that Sheyka had more lane pressure than Sops in the mid lane, and that regardless if that 2v2 would not favor them to start things off, they knew they had the 3-on-2 before Sops could make it.
And now this is going to be a big problem for them. Not only has this lane where you have the Baron and it already fallen behind, but both the kills going over to this Freya for Diesel in the Hunter lane, which he's already going to be getting some pretty safe farm, could make it very difficult for Armada to slow down this eventual power spike.
And Sibyl played that as perfectly as he could. He waited to the very last second to pop his shell to be able to get off the heel with the consigned spirits, making sure that he was topped off. But at the end of the day, Diesel, level 1 Freya or not, with a red buff is hard to get away from.
Yeah, if that's a 2v2, they might be able to turn that one around. But as he said, Sheyka recognizing he can make the rotation over and is able to find a nice kill. And it's unfortunate, too, because most of the times when you pick Soul in the middle lane, you get the advantage over the mage there with those autos. But up against the Hunter, Neith in particular, Sops not able to outclear, and Sheyka gets there first.
And Diesel and Mineral want to extend this advantage by trying to freeze the wave a little bit outside the archers, or at least look for some poke battle. Level 3 Freya against a level 2 Ram is a pretty good advantage for Sanguine.
You know, Tully, we also didn't get to see much Achilles either, who's been picked up by Bruh over in the solo lane. And very aggressive start. He went right with the Warrior Tab Eye. Again, a start that we saw Aqua kind of start a lot over in North America SPL and has made its way back down. Once this Achilles starts rotating over, this could be one more problem to try and match up against Mineral and Diesel. It's so much damage. The execute is so strong.
I agree, but execute up against the Kumbhakarna passive is a little tricky to always get off. You're still going to have to go through that passive a couple of basic attacks. So a good idea for yunglad to at least counteract that against Bra, making it more difficult to find the solo kill for an aggressive Achilles style. But looking at the rest of the composition, I mean, Ganesha doesn't have CC immunity, Neith doesn't either, neither does yujibox. So this is going to be difficult to get away once Bra and Copebby start diving the backline.
Sheyka still has the back flip, able to get away from Cope for now, who does not have the ultimate. He does have Blink, but Sheyka has some friends nearby, so everything's going to be A-okay. I like this idea, though, from Cope to try and see if maybe he can find some aggression. As soon as Yuji has that ultimate, it's going to be that much harder. Funeral Evil is such a strong tool for control, even with overhead kick, that it can be used to initiate or even to save the life of Sheyka if another situation like that comes up.
I think if Cope was level 5, he instantly Mystic Crushes after the backflip. The fact that he got hit by the backflip stops him from using the Blink. Maybe if he preemptively did it, anticipating the backflip, he would have been able to predict that, be there upon landing, and then look for another early kill on Armada's side at the very least, trying to answer back.
Yeah, it would have been very spicy if he could have made that one happen, as Yuji wanted to try and strip away some back harpies, but Cope is already there. You talked a little bit about how this Kumbhakarna would be safe in this matchup. He has a Guardian's Blessing over there in solo lane. So even though, yeah, Bruh does have him pushed up to his tower line, I mean, I don't think Yunglad's that, upset about that. That's kind of how he expects his lane to go.
Exactly, and he's trying to, rush those stacks sooner rather than later. Sitting at 36 currently and going to be forced to back, has teleport available. Bra was trying to cancel that back, not going to have the range to do so. And Bra did a very aggressive opening, starting off with tier 2 boots, health chalice, and then teleporting as soon as he can finish off the warrior tab. But against the Kumbhakarna, there's not really that kill potential that you're looking for.
Yes.
Even with the execute, you still have to go through the passive, and most warriors don't have that basic attack speed to go through the Kumbhakarna by himself before the expiration.
Yunglad's going to commit the epic uppercut because Yuji's right there in the jungle. Fear no evil is perfect. Sheyka had the ultimate as well. A bit of overkill there as Yunglad makes sure that Bruh goes down.
Better safe than sorry.
Oh,
Neith
yeah.
ultimate at this early in the game, yes. Throw it at the soul lane every single time, especially before some of these physical defense become available. And when you're dealing with a Guardian soul lane, a Kumbhakarna, Sobek, Ymir, whatever the case, you got to be focusing either the Enchile, the Runic Shield, whatnot, maybe Genji's Guard, depending on what the case is. And that's going to allow Yuji and Sheyka's ganks to be that more effective.
And that's tough because Bruh really played right into that, right? They knew he was up at the tower line all game long. Yuji doesn't really have to be over near Mineral and Diesel since they won lane so early on. They'll probably be fine without a gank. Yuji might actually be in trouble behind the tier 1. Cope finds the overhead kick. It's just not enough damage, so Yuji makes it out. But Bruh, you got to be expecting for Yuji to show up there, right? That's the lane where his pressure would be most needed, and it works out perfectly. They're able to chain the CC together.
I agree. Bra can no longer really go for any 1v1 kills. His best bet is to invade back camps, invade the blue buff, and be a nuisance in that regard to hurt Yuji more than to hurt Yunglad.
Mineral is in some trouble. Supernova cuts off the path, and Sops finds the first kill for Armada, and they're able to fall back. Sheyka can't do anything to save the elephant.
If he had his ultimate, maybe that would have been the case, but I still don't mind him throwing that out there on the right side of the lane. But I think for the next time, in the lane gank attempt. Maybe Sheyka will hold on to that ultimate, knowing that Yuji and Yunglad got the job done.
An important kill they're able to find that middle lane to finally slow them down. Cope really helped set that one up too with the root, the slow, and limit his options. Big damage from Sheyka. Sops. Fortunately, the shell is there to come out from Sibyl to keep him alive. Now Cope's in trouble on the left-hand side. Constant action as Yuji trying to win the 1v1, but there are no 1v1s. World Weaver comes through, and Sheyka finds that.
Sibyl was about 2 to 3 seconds too late. If that consigned spirits hit, the heal goes off, or maybe he finds the body block to be able to intercept that arrow. Rotation from Bra. Couldn't find the diagonal.
And now Bra could be in very good danger, dying. Very nice of Mineral to bestow that over to Sheyka and find it killed for Sanguine.
I respect the rotation from Bra, but the tower dive was so risky at the end of the day. It's so difficult when there's 2 members and one of them is in lethal range. The body block of a Guardian has such a bigger hitbox as well, so you're going to have to kind of maneuver around him, and that made it more difficult for Bra. And now he's even further behind, a 2-level lead for Yunglad in the solo lane.
And Armada really needed Bra to be relevant, because they were very likely going to be behind in the duo lane, right? And maybe even the jungle, but if Yuji can kind of keep at the pressure he's had. So they need this Achilles to be able to do kind of exactly that, but, you know, successful. So unfortunately, he comes over, he ends up falling, and now he's going to be even further behind up against Yunglad, and they don't have that sort of safety valve to relieve the pressure that's happening over in duo.
2 shots from Diesel's Freya. Purple buff, not even red buff. Gets off about 40% of sBennyQ's health. That's trying to stack up those Devil Gloves to get some sustain. It's only going to get scarier as this Freya gets a little bit more in that late game phase, working on a Bancroft's talent now.
Sanguine are going to go for the buff invade. Sops and Mineral nearby. Up onto the coffin goes Sibyl. He does find Diesel on the tail end, but no stun. Diesel goes up with the Valkyrie's discretion to be able to get back. Buff defended by Armada, and Sanguine have to leave.
It's clearly evident that Diesel, not fully understanding the timer of Life of the Party, expecting it to last a little bit longer, was panicking, didn't want to use beats, so he uses Valkyrie's discretion instead. No real threat there at the end of the day, but still, ulti for ulti should favor out Sibyl and the crew if they could just dive Diesel now.
Sheyka finds some nice shots on Sops. He misses the Spirit Arrow, but finds the damage. They have World Weaver charged, but Sops back underneath the tower and in Disapparate should be A-okay. Yunglad is making the rotation in Cope, whose backing is going to make that back in time, no problem. So Sanguine not going to find any more aggression here in the middle lane.
With Disapparate down, I'm surprised they don't go for that kill in the mid lane with the Blink ultimate available for Yuji, with Sheyka having World Weaver level 9, red buff. That's a lot of damage that could be available if it's a level 2 World Weaver.
Certainly could be there in the middle lane, and like you said, they just saw Disapparate go down. Maybe they didn't recognize, but Yuji now coming in. Fear No Evil well timed, forces out the beats from Sops. World Weaver committed as well, but only hits Cope. So Sops able to make it out of there without too much trouble.
See, they did it before the Disapparate was available, not after. It was already used, and that's the difference between the two. Also, Cope was in position to intercept that World Weaver. Sops was able to kind of duck right under those top left mid harpies. Now it's a blink from Cope.
He's the one that wants to go aggressive. Mineral trying to use the Ohm for silence, but Sheyka getting rather low, drops down the arming pillars as well. Mineral is now getting pulled back in by Sibyl, and it's the Ganesha a little bit too far forward, but Diesel rotates in to help. Meanwhile, Yuji tracks down Sops, able to find the soul on the backside.
Mineral doing a good job keeping Sibyl locked in. Diesel now going to use the ultimate. Shell's not going to save you there, Sibyl, but look at this, the rotation from Yunglad.
Bro ends up falling to the tower as well. That's 3 members of Armada who are down. Sanguine find a nice couple of kills here in the middle lane fight, and that death for Bra as well. Sanguine in a really good spot, up 5,000 experience, 3,700 gold. And yeah, why not come over here near the Gold Fury?
It's a good timing. Not even 11 minutes in, and with 3 quick picks, nobody really here except for sBennyQ. Maybe he can seal that away with his Ram ultimate. He has to time this ever so perfectly. Yunglad spots it out. DPS should stop, or at least actually keep going, because those snipes wouldn't even steal it.
That's right, he didn't have enough damage, so he was just basically helping. Sanguine grab the Gold Fury. Benny has to use the Purification Beads, epic uppercut to lock him back in. Blaze and Fear No Evil just to confirm. Now Sops might be in trouble as well. Supernova comes through and Sibyl finds Yuji to make it 1 for 1.
And Sibyl even intercepting that World Weaver. Sheyka was intending that to land right between the eyes of Sops, as he's going to survive for a little bit longer. A lot of lifesteal from that Bancroft's talent out of the soul, keeping herself topped off at the end of the day. And with that 11 minute Gold Fury, Sanguine getting themselves a pretty convincing 4,500 gold lead.
But that's important that Armada at least found a little bit on the back end, right? That little bit that it could get in terms of that 1-for-1 kill trade to make it even. But so far, this has been all Sanguine. It's very unfortunate that Bruh is 0-3 over here in the solo lane. They virtually cannot rely on him really to kind of make that impact with the Achilles. He relies so much on being out in front. Sybyl's had some strong impact for them, but SmiteVOD's been largely irrelevant too. Sanguine have done a good job neutralizing these side lanes, and then UG, Sheyka, and Mineral have just been winning the 3v3.
That's very true. Sheyka helped the left side lane be successful, while UG helped the right side do the same effort. Bruh trying to still be aggressive against Yunglad, despite having Breastplate of Valor. It's difficult to avoid a lot of the damage coming from this Achilles.
Dharmic Pillars comes out one more time, and Cope has to use Mystic Rush to get away. Sibyl will pull Mineral back towards him with that life of the party, but now they're the ones on the retreat path. A little bit of extra movement speed never hurt. Mineral takes some poke, but that should be all they wrote for that skirmish, unless Sanguine want to force down a tier 1.
Even with Sprint, the movement speed boost that you get from some of the abilities out of the Baron just can counteract that. Blink Mez at a Yunglad, trying to bait out the relics. Epic uppercut landing onto everyone.
Mineral's taking a lot of damage from the tower, though, and he ends up falling to sops. Bruh finds the execute. He finds another one. Double kill for the Achilles. Just when I was saying he might be irrelevant, he comes over and turns the fight around. 3-for-0 for Armada.
Celebrating with a third Fatal Strike under the Tier 1 tower just for good measure, getting himself 2 important levels. Now only 1 level behind Yunglad, but this fight's not over, Finch.
No, not at all. Yuji drops the Fear No Evil. Cope now in some trouble, pinned against the wall. Still alive for the moment, but Yunglad will rectify that shortly now. Yuji in some trouble, but Bruh here to even the score. Makes it 4-for-1 overall.
He was 0-3, now he's 3-3, just like that in the past minute. Overall, it was a 4-for-1. Armada are really putting in the hurt in that last one.
A big fight from Armada, and this comes from Sanguine diving a little bit too far underneath that tier 1 tower. I like the blink initiation from Yunglad. The Mez hits 3, but Mineral tanks the tower for so long that he ends up being in very low health threshold. Sop's able to clean him up way too easily.
I believe they did kill SBennyQ at the tail end of that, or like at the beginning of it, where they epic uppercutted him, chased him down a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, if you're going to go beyond the tier 1 tower at 13 minutes into the game, it's not like they have an exorbitant amount of levels. Like, just now hitting level 12 was Sheyka, not having that second important Aegis relics to keep himself alive from Bruh's Fatal Strike is where things started to slip away, because if it was Sheyka absorbing that with the Aegis, then the second one doesn't even occur, and then I think maybe Sanguine can turn that.
That's exactly the kind of fight that an Achilles wants to rotate in on, right? With that exact timing.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's already those low HP bars. He can just get that extra bit of surprise damage you might not expect and a couple executes and turn the fight around. Now he has the Glad Shield finish. Looks like he might even be working on the Hide of the Urchin to try and get a little bit tankier as well. But it's still Sanguine who are aggressing into the jungle and trying to strip buffs.
Wow, just like that. Aggressing to steal away a red buff. Now they're on the full retreat. Armada can't really catch up, though. Speed buff, Hunbat's a little too quick. Bruh gonna annoy Sheyka, to say the least. No real threat for this level 12 Neith under her own tower. I like the Heartseeker pickup from Sheyka, being able to get a little bit of extra sustain in the mana department. SmiteVOD in a lot of trouble.
But had the relics to keep him alive. They've both now been burned. He's going to just fire some shots back onto Diesel since he had to use the ult. But that's Beads, Aegis, and the ult from Benny.
Wow, surprised not to see Diesel wait for Ram to land. He used a rollout into the ultimate, so at best, you can safely use Valkyrie's discretion, get off the damage without taking any tier 2 power shots.
Sheyka now in trouble in the middle lane. Bruh has made a tremendous impact here in this mid-game stage with the rotations punishing this Neith in the middle lane. Now Cope has to use his ultimate defensively just to get away, but already a win for Armada to bring this game much closer back to even.
They can find picks like that. That's the way that they can get back into the game. Still down about 3,000 gold, 3,500 or so at 15 minutes. Is a little scary if Sanguine can get the next goal here that's due to respawn in less than 10 seconds.
They're going to look for this Pyromancer, and they're going to be able to burn it very, very quickly. No way for Sanguine to get over here in time to defend. Gold Fury is respawning, as you said, but Armada aren't in a rush to get there. Neither really are Sanguine, so they'll grab their prize and have plenty of time to regroup.
It's just a little bit of a relapse of what teams want to do afterwards. A little reset, rather. This Yunglad now hitting level 16. Still a level lead over Bruh. Bruh's been able to make a huge impact in the past 3 minutes, getting himself 4 kills. Confident enough now to go for the Hide of the Urchin, expecting more team fights to occur.
And with the way he's playing, he's not wrong, as Sanguine now pull the Gold Fury. Armada have Sibyl, Benny, and Sops nearby, so Sanguine can't afford to burst this down. Look at Yuji. He has Relic Dagger. Expect for these blinks to be up more often. He's the big initiator for Sanguine.
Oh, absolutely. He needs to get that impactful Fear No Evil. And if it's not him, it's also Younglad that can do the same exact thing with the Mez. A Mez doesn't have to be popped right away. There could be a lot of setup in a Mez where Diesel can line up a couple of shots there. Mineral dashing away, but in the back line, the target's sBennyQ.
They find him very early on. He still has the ultimate. Remember, he had to use both relics last fight. He comes right back down from the ultimate, but he's safe. Yuji hunts him down. Now it's some trouble for Sheyka as Cope commits, but ends up getting punished. Diesel finds one more kill. Execute lands from Bruh to try and even the score, 2 for 1 so far.
Bruh looking for the fatal strike defensively now, trying to save Sops' life. It is going to be a 4-on-3. Sanguine on the chase. Sybyl's going to fall. 4-on-2. Looking for Sops.
Yuji's been a nightmare this engagement. Sops in trouble as well. Younglad is on a killing spree as he brings down the mid lane mage. It's only Bruh left alive, and Sanguine want to come back and claim their Gold Fury. Yuji on zoning duty, trying to keep him away, and there's not much Bruh can do here. Sanguine should be able to confirm the Gold Fury and win the fight.
Younglad or Yuji able to even get away the purple buff. Meanwhile, the blink into the counter blink. Good reaction time out of Yuji. 17.5-minute Gold Fury this time around puts Sanguine in a really good spot. About 5,500 gold as opposed to the 4,500 from the first one.
And this is what's so important, is how well Sanguine have been able to control these objectives. And I feel like that fight in particular, so much was around Yuji. He does a great job singling out sBennyQ at the very start with the Fear No Evil, and he sets up to come find the kill on the back end of it as well for Sops. Yuji rather is all over the place.
It's very true, and Sheyka was able to buy enough time to make Bruh just waste more of his time to not focus out Diesel. And Diesel was getting off so many pot shots, took out Cope's life with a nice little Mez from a Younglad. Good control between the solo jungle combo from Sanguine.
It was a nice fight from Bruh. He did what he could there, as you said, but he had to overcommit thanks to Sheyka's good play. And that's how things were able to turn around for Sanguine, now with a large lead in terms of gold and experience. They might want to try this Tier 1 tower siege one more time. Remember, this is where things went a bit awry for them last time, so might want to be a little more patient.
I think they're going to prevent themselves from diving beyond that Tier 1 tower line. Slow and steady wins the race, and they have plenty of damage to demolish this tower if they really choose to do so. Ulti onto Cope gets negated by the overhead kick.
Great timing from the Robin. Mineral avoids giving over any movement speed and heals. But all 5 members of Armada are here, but it's Younglad who blinks in, finds the 2-man Mez. Cope goes in aggressively, gets silenced out, and Sheyka finds an easy kill. Good damage out from Diesel, but it's Yuji who wants sBennyQ in the back. Sheyka finds Sibyl for the double kill from the Neith, and Benny will be low when he falls.
Look at this, sBennyQ still alive, not for long. Diesel takes him out, 3 for nothing. Make that 4 for nothing, goes up in the sky, back down, and into the grave.
Younglad finds one more surrender vote coming out from Armada as they feel a bit of frustration. A 4 for nothing wipe for Sanguine, and they send Bruh running for the hills. This lone Achilles may survive fights, but there's not much he can do. The Tier 1 and Tier 2 come down, and Sanguine, yeah, why not? Go for the FG.
The problem here for Armada is their team fighting control is just cannot be matched as opposed to Sanguine. Cope on the Ravana blinks into the backline. Didn't have beads available, gets silenced out by Mineral for so long that he doesn't even use Mystic Rush because he blinked in. And once he fell, so did the rest of the team fight. Armada could not make it happen.
Well, Bruh wants to be nearby for the Fire Giant steal. He does blink in, but Banish, silence is all there. Sanguine confirm the Fire Giant and turn their attention to the solo laner. He gets stunned out very low, finds some heals, but Sheyka gets one more kill. A killing spree for the Neith, who's 5, 3, and 6.
Really making it happen.
There it is.
There was going to be a surrender vote. Not wanting to go and frustrate themselves any further. 20.5 minutes in. Sanguine with a good victory.
Yeah, that one was definitely starting to get away from Armada. I get why they might want to throw that one away. Now, hopefully we don't see 2 like we saw yesterday, and it's just going to be this 1. It is a best of 3. They certainly have a chance to adjust, and I think that this was just they fell behind a little bit too much early, and a very good job, I think, from Sanguine to make sure they played with that early lead.
It was a great level 1 strategy. Dueling, proxying between Tier 1 and Tier 2, so you clear the way faster than the opposite side where Armada were only outside the Tier 1 tower line. So you got like about a 5-second window to invade the enemy red, come back to your own red to either try to defend it or look for the kill because Sheyka was able to out-rotate sops at level 1.
And that's what made the difference, right? They had pressure in so many lanes. They could afford to be aggressive there, and they did a good job recognizing it. But who was your MVP from that game? Let us know in Mixer chat. It's tough to say. Maybe Younglad. I really liked the Kumbhakarna play that we saw. Sheyka was excellent on the Neith as well. Really, as a team, they played very well.
It really was. Yuji was able to isolate SmiteVOD on several occasions, making Ram's job more difficult than it needed to be. I liked what Mineral was able to bring to the table with the Ganesha, the silence and the peels, preventing Cope from being effective in the backline, blink penetration. So overall, a team great unit cohesively. I think that this is the way you got to play Smite at the end of the day, especially in best of threes.
Yeah.
You can throw out some, some curveballs here and there, and that's what they did to start off game number 1, but I think there's going to be a more standard play in game 2.
It was the double Guardians, really, that I think that kind of broke the back for Armada in that, right? When Younglad's able to blink on the back line, and then you still have a Ganesh silencing you on the front line, like there's really just not much you can do in that kind of situation. Maybe things will look different for Armada in game number 2, but let's get it back over to the desk so they can break down what they saw in game 1.
Thank you so much, guys, on the cast. Yeah, I mean, Sanguine got off to an interesting start there overall. The composition worked well, a couple of ganks early on. Bra struggled at the start. Was it time to surrender? They just got Fire Giant. Do you reckon it's better just to call it a day there and go, okay, let's just start again?
I think when you consider that this is your best of 3 set and every single one of these round robin matches matters, I don't understand the reasoning for the F6 at the 20-minute mark. I think that Armada could have probably still held up a pretty reasonable defense. That seemed a little bit more like player frustration and mental game being impacted than anything else.
Well, maybe that's what they need to do, is just go back to the drawing board and start over again, because it was a rough situation for them. Bra made a couple of rotations early that were very questionable, trying to get a solo kill in the mid lane. He looked a little bit strugglesome there. Dual lane, obviously Diesel getting a double kill right at the start did not help things off for Armada there at all. But it will be Younglad that gets the MVP on the Kumbhakarna, causing plenty of problems throughout the game.
And you have to appreciate a good Kumbha. Mesmerize, epic uppercut, straight into the Fear No Evil, just no room to try and get away. And even for good measure, the Neith ultimate, I didn't even catch the World Weaver on him the first time around, but bruh, really had zero chance of survival. It was just so much crowd control from Sanguine that ultimately Armada never really got to get their damage online.
Yeah, this Kumbhakarna really made an impact throughout. It's 17 minutes in, level 16, so you're farming well at that stage if you're a solo laner. But not only that, still able to make the rotation. So Sanguine take game 1 convincingly, in all fairness. But what can Armada do for game 2? What's the adjustment here? Is it take Kumbha away, maybe?
I think that Armada just need to try and battle crowd control with crowd control. I think they went a little bit too heavy-handed on the damage aspects and maybe need to prioritize some of those heavy CC gods that can better counteract or even look to just initiate right away, because a lot of the action took place off of Sanguine's aggression initially, and Armada, even at the times where we saw Bruh making those rotations, trying to have a little bit of an impact in the fights before they broke out, it's just what can really be done as an Achilles. You don't have any real forms of control there.